Fragile Reflection is a classic survival horror styled indie game that is currently in development that utilises a low poly visual style where you play from an over the shoulder third person perspective that has similarities to modern survival horror remakes if you look at the likes of Resident Evil. And while it does take some of those characteristics into consideration, you can't help but feel that the game also is more inspired by the likes of Silent Hill, but even more so with the likes of Forbidden Siren that would have been on the PlayStation 2. It's an interesting concept that has all of the survival horror elements where you have to search items, destroy or eliminate enemies through the use of weapons, from melee weapons to guns. You will also have to find items of interest, from ammunition, health items, while finding other elements that you'll need to solve puzzles so that you can progress, all while trying to make sure that you're not eaten alive along the way. But one of the very interesting aspects that this game really does get right is its very dark and ambient tone. It is very atmospheric, and in all honesty keeps you on edge throughout the experience, and the low poly visuals I think really help to that degree to create that atmosphere. Now, while this is still a work in progress game, it's not as fully polished as you would like, as the controls and the movement system is very clunky and sluggish. Now, you can change the sensitivity and the options to make it a little bit easier, but it's still not as fleshed out as you would expect, especially when you compare it to other titles of a similar caliber. But it is very violent, it is very scary from what I have played of it. As every corner you turn around, you never know what to expect on the other side, and in all fairness, you don't want to get surrounded by groups of enemies at a time, as you will be wiped out very quickly. So you'll have to pick and choose your battles wisely and make sure that you have enough ammunition in order to survive. Now, as in with this demo that I have played, there are currently 2 different chapters to explore through. One of them would be in, as you can see here, an underground cave tunnel type section where you have to try and escape, which will require you to go through many different dark tunnels, almost in a labyrinth style effect where you can get lost very easily. But you'll need to require items from key cards to fuel to operate generators so that you can power up an elevator so that you can get out of the area. But that won't be the end of the ordeal. And the game does become more difficult the further into it you get, because ammunition becomes very limited. And again, it goes back to making better choices with regards to interactions with enemies. So you do have to choose your battles wisely, you really do. And with the second chapter, it takes you almost into like a Japanese rural kind of town that would have been similar to games likes of Forbidden Siren, but even if you put it in mind of even Shenmue on the likes of the Sega Dreamcast, where you had those very quaint and very detailed Japanese streets and very oriental styled villages that were bursting with atmosphere. And this game really does capture that quite well for what it does represent. Now, it also does have some different abilities in terms of gameplay mechanics, as while from the outside it does seem like you're in the real world, but there is a mix between that and an alternate reality, which you can definitely change through at different points, and in some cases you will need to change into these different realities in order to proceed to different areas and solve some of the puzzles that you'll face. But I found from playing it, there is certain points where you will quickly get lost, so there is a lot of trial and error involved. And again, with the game still in a demo stage, only in time will you see any different changes or maybe progress with regards to how each of the levels will phase out. But I think that the mix of the retro visuals with the low polygonal characters and environments really helps to engage with the atmosphere. Like, if you've ever played games like Silent Hill on the original PlayStation or games like it of that type, even with more modern type of experiences that we are now seeing in today's age, this game will fit in with that aesthetic very well. Mind you, if you can bear with the controls. There's still a lot of work to be done with them, in my own opinion, but I definitely think it presents a good experience, because I found even a few times where it really did keep you on edge as you didn't know what to expect, and enemies would pop out of different places that you didn't really know were possible. And yeah, let's just put it this way, that it definitely presented plenty of jump scares, but the tension leading up to those altercations was even more terrifying. While it's not perfect, I do think that it's one to look out for. It has enough ambience and dark tones and atmosphere, and especially with the setting involved, with the darkness and the fog, will be very reflective of classic survival horror titles. So hopefully we won't have to wait long to see what other progress can be made with this. There will be a link down in the description to download the demo for yourself on Steam, so that you can try it out and so you can see for yourself. I definitely think it's worth a try. And in the meantime, if you are looking for other types of survival horror games similar to this that are being released even in the current day that we've yet to explore, that very few know about, this next video will present even more experiences that are definitely worth a try.